Why nothing feels exciting anymore? Let's run it. I'm gonna assume this has something to do with like social media, dopamine crashes, and all the shit like that.
How to buy the best maps in 2025. You're doing it.
Oh yeah, dude. You wanna show anyone anything, you gotta put that Family Guy episode on the bottom of whatever video should be on the top.
Wrong. You're still using this to navigate life. Embarrassing.
I can already tell this is gonna be a banger.
I'm so bored right now, and I truly hate the way it feels. You're probably bored too. You clicked on this video trying to feel less bored, and all you've got is a guy scrolling on his phone alone in a room. Here, let me see if I can help with that. Is this better?
Yeah.
Good. It's not just you and me. It's everyone.
That is crazy to think about, though, is that like we can't focus on anything, and that's why we have to have like either something like this, or we have like several like 3 screens, like a phone, a laptop, a computer, iPad, all at one time, music. Like there has to be always something.
Boredom is on the rise, even at a time when we're in the golden age of content. Boredom isn't simple. It's not.
That is weird to think about how the brain works like that. It's like we have nothing but shit to keep our brains stimulated, but we're constantly bored at the same time. But it's because we have the excess of all this extra shit.
Trivial, it's not benign. It's actually a painful emotion that quietly haunts our sense of meaning and purpose. It's more like pain or disgust. We've been going deep on this. There's a lot of great new science. My producer Alex read like 5 books on the topic. In all of this literature, I am starting to see a clear story that explains why all of us are more bored than ever. But I'm also seeing something that I didn't expect, something that's quietly hidden within the feeling of boredom. How this really unpleasant feeling, boredom, might actually be key to living a more purposeful, creative life.
I've been saying this forever. I want to see what it would be like to go on like a true like dopamine detox. 30 days. Like 30 days of no screens, no nothing. I'm really curious to see how I'll feel. A. B. What it's going to be like when I finally do get a phone in hand or I start watching TV. Like, is it going to feel different? And I'm really curious to see how that would be.
Your life is like a road trip. Stick with me while I build this analogy because it's actually really useful for understanding the real meaning of boredom. It's a road trip in the dark. In this analogy, the most important parts are, first off, your headlights. This is your attention, your ability to pay attention and what you pay attention to. And the second most important part is this fuel tank. We're gonna look at this a lot. This represents your sense of meaning and purpose. It helps motivate you, pushes you along the journey of your life. Attention and meaning are vital for how humans navigate their lives, how they make decisions on where to go with the constraints of their everyday experience. These determine the route.
Yeah, because it's easy to want to shut down and do nothing if you feel like you have no purpose.
That you take on this road trip. So, you're going along your life, you're taking turns, you're making decisions on how to spend your time. You spend time with friends, you pay attention to this, and look, your tank is filling up with meaning and purpose. For a lot of us, friendship is fuel. You go for a walk, maybe in nature.
I think that's would it be, because I mean, you need human connection. Even if you're not that social of a person, you still need some sort of level of human connection. But if you're just at home all day, every day, staring at a screen, when COVID happened, it's like, oh yeah, we can still talk to each other. We can FaceTime, we can video chat, Zoom, whatever. It never felt the same as like being in front of each other, human to human connection. So there's something almost soulless about, you know, whether you're watching me through the screen right now, it's like, you can see me, I'm just looking right into a camera, right? We can't see each other in this very moment. I'm going to be recording this at a different time that you're going to be watching this, you know? And even the same shit with the Zoom. It's like, we can see each other, but it's like, it's the same thing of, you're going to go on vacation because you want to see the mountains, compared to, you could just look at mountains on Google. It's not the same. There's no soul in that.
You listen to music. That is meaningful to you. Maybe you watch a good movie. You shine your attention on that, and that is actually pretty fulfilling. But life is heavy and hard, and sometimes your fuel runs out. Your attention fractures or fades, and then this happens. Lights out. This is boredom, the state where your sense of purpose and meaning is on empty, and consequently, you don't really have the ability to muster the energy to pay attention to something that would change the situation. The most surprising thing that I've learned so far while researching this is that boredom is not this trivial, mundane feeling. It's actually a pretty strong emotional experience, and it kind of sucks.
I define boredom as meaning withdrawal, as a sense of discomfort, telling you that your need for personal meaning is not being met.
Your brain's way.
And I think it just gets confusing when, you can be at home scrolling on TikTok for hours and it's like you have so much, consumption, but you're still somehow bored at the end of it. It just gets really confusing when you then think of it that way, and then you just get drained.
Of telling you need to change what you're doing because what you're doing is unsatisfying. You find it hard to focus.
And that feeling of like, I can't do anything about this. I don't have any, agency here, or what's the meaning of all of this? You're just kind of stuck there.
I'd say that the experience of boredom is an experience of unfreedom, an experience of being trapped in the present without meaning.
Time seems to slow.
So you're in the situation where I don't care about this.
Yeah, and that is weird how you can scroll on TikTok for 4 hours and not even really realize it. You get in such a crazy flow state. But if you're working or you're I remember sitting in school and I would just stare at a clock and just time felt like it was moving so slow in that moment. But there was other moments where it moves like fucking this.
This really doesn't stimulate me in any way.
Tolstoy described boredom as like a desire of desires.
I also remember a friend of mine. He worked with the postal services when we were students, and his job was to take mail bags and turn them inside out to see if there was any letters remaining in there. And one day he told me, yesterday at work, I just started weeping. I mean, this was the myth of Sisyphus, the eternal recurrence of the same. There is no end to it. There will always be another mailbag coming in that would have to be turned inside out.
Yeah, you just feel like a drone. I used to be a cashier at a grocery store, and I literally just felt like a robot. You're just standing there, just sending shit, and it's like this. You say the same shit. Cash or card. You fucking, you go through that whole process, and it feels so unfulfilling, on like a human level. It does feel soulless. It does feel robotic.
No progression, just the same over and over again. And he started weeping at work. Though being a good Protestant, he continued to turn mailbags inside out while he was weeping.
For me, this happens usually on a Saturday at 3 p.m. This is when my kids are occupied playing with friends or playing Nintendo or whatever. I have time. I usually don't have time. But Saturday at 3 p.m., I have precious free time that I don't get during the week. And I have all this stuff that I want to do. But then this emotion just hits me, this feeling that I don't really want to do anything. I can't really muster the motivation to do any of it. And suddenly things get really dark for me. I start to question everything. I start to question my life choices. I'm angry at myself for not doing things that I know some part of me wants to do. I'm wondering if I've made the right life choices. So I know this feeling well, but before reporting this story, I never called it boredom. I kind of thought it was like some flash of depression or restlessness, or maybe it was my ADD or something. Boredom always just felt like this thing that there's nothing to do and so I'm bored, but that's actually not what's happening here.
Many would call it an emotional state that has cognitive and physiological correlates.
Boredom is the feeling of thinking. It's an affective response to underutilization of our capacities, of our cognitive skills, right? So
because your mind believes it's capable to do a lot, so when you're not, it releases that feeling to you to get you to do something, or not. I guess I should say to do something that would feel fulfilling to you.
You're bored, you're having that affective reaction to the fact that you're not using your brain as well as you could be.
So yeah, boredom is an emotion and it's very uncomfortable. But luckily, I've got a very quick little medicine that is in my pocket at all times. It's not in my pocket right now. Uh-oh, where's my little medicine? It's a small computer device that was probably made in China or India, and it's got software on it that numbs my boredom. Some people call it a phone, but a phone is a thing that was invented like 100 years ago where people talk to each other. Where is it? Where is my phone? Oh, here she is. She was here the whole time. Ah, my precious.
Now with the latest nuclear missile test conducted just
About 3 years ago, I was cooking rice in my kitchen. We tested different questions. And some people
establishes.
Oh, man, I love TikTok and all short form video that I consume to cure my boredom. And to be clear, this video will critique all of this and tell us about how the brain is kind of getting messed up with some of the...
Yeah, I don't think people realize how affected, like, everyone is because of short form content
stuff, but boy, it's fun while it lasts. Anyway, this device is very useful for curing my boredom, and I use it Saturdays at 3 p.m. when I'm feeling bored. And yes, later I will show you the studies that unpack boredom and phone use. But for now, I was actually curious if other people experience this the way I do, because it's a deeply personal and emotional experience. And so I asked my team.
So I usually get bored when I get home from work and I've done all of the things that I wanted to do, like eat dinner, hang out with friends, go to the gym, do a hobby, and there's still time left over somehow. I get this really uncomfortable feeling, which is boredom. That's this like...
You know, I think about all of the time, right? Is, so like, I'll walk you through like a day, right? I'll wake up whenever that is with my fucked up sleep schedule, probably like 2 p.m. I'll make, a video or two and then get my short form content scheduled out for the day. And then, maybe go hang out with friends, play Xbox, whatever, and I'm just going throughout the day, but I'm like constantly, like my face is like constantly in front of a screen or I have some sort of stimulation one way or another. And I think about like, damn, like what did people do before all of this? And like my generation of people, I was a part of like the very tail end of the generation. There was no iPads and shit. There was just like no technology. We just like did shit. You know what I mean? But like now, the majority of my day is spent in front of a screen. But like if that just got wiped from me completely, I feel like I'd be bored as fuck. And that's why I want to go on like a dopamine detox. Like imagine you're like in your room at night, you have no phone, no TV, no iPad, no computer, it's just you, your thoughts, and that's it. What the fuck? And our dopamine's so fried and our brain, like, I can't read a fucking book. Like, I can read, obviously.
Existential gut punch. I think about, what am I doing with my life? And I want to crawl out of my own skin. Typically, I will numb it with TikTok or playing video games. But sometimes I will sit in the discomfort and think about my life. But that is a lot more work and exhausting.
Ironically, though, I have noticed that I find my phone to be a sort of boring replacement for the boredom. There's this sort of instant gratification with social media that feels like it's the addictive version of boredom. And that is kind of scary.
Okay, before we get back to the car analogy, which is very good and very useful, I promise, I want to explain what I've learned about why. Why does boredom even exist inside of our brains? And it turns out that it's actually a very natural biological signal that we developed a long time ago. What's happening when we're bored is a bunch of brain regions are coming together to tell us that we need to do something different with our situation. One of the defining traits of human beings is that we are restless. We need purpose and meaning to fuel our actions. And this has been one way that humans have been pushed to create and change their...
I will say, I do think, there's a lot of productivity and shit with the phones. But I think if there was no TikTok, no short form platforms, no bullshit, people would be way more productive because they would be bored. So they would have to go then do something that would fulfill them in whatever way, and they would go just find shit to do. I think it is great, all the social media shit, and obviously I'm doing social media and I love it. But there's that human connection that's been stripped away from a lot of people. And a lot of people just sit in their houses all day. Like, I still go out, I still do shit, I still go out with friends, but I am still in front of a computer all day. But a lot of people are only in front of a computer and they don't go out. And, you know, the levels of depression, anxiety, all those things rises. And I think it also does create a lot more social anxiety on top of, you know, what's already happening.
Natural situation, not just for more resources like all animals do, but also in search of meaning. We're these self-aware apes who are able to tell stories of meaning and purpose to each other. And we ourselves are kind of characters in our own story. It's a major reason why humans have been able to cooperate in large numbers with each other, looking towards stories like corporations or religions or countries, all of these.
Yeah, because they want to be a part of something. No one wants to just like be alone. Everyone wants to feel connected in one way or another.
Are meaningful stories that bind us together to cooperate and change our situation. So a lot of experts now think that boredom is this emotional cue that is pushing us to do something different with our lives, to deliver on that need for meaning. But boredom today is pretty different. In fact, in the old days, most people didn't have time to get bored.
It's typical for traditional societies that you don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about what to care about.
Yeah, because you just like get up at the crack of dawn, work for fucking 14 hours a day, go home, eat, go to sleep, then repeat it the next day.
Because it's already defined for you.
Let's do one of my favorite things and rewind and see what my little road trip analogy would have looked like if I lived 500 years ago. So I'm a farmer. Most of us would have been farmers, FYI. And I spend most of my time working on the farm because if I don't, my family and I will die. So my attention is locked in to kind of one high stakes activity that defines my life. Let's look down at my meaning and purpose fuel tank. Oh, whoa, it's doing great. And look, you can see why. Here on the farm, my sense of purpose and meaning flows in abundance from my family, my belonging to a community in which I was born that has well-defined culture and rituals that my ancestors have been doing for thousands of years. And perhaps most of all, I have a clear existential story in the form of religion. This makes death and suffering not so bad, and it fills me with a bigger purpose. This stuff is like rocket.
Yeah, but then you have it's not only you that you're taking care of, but you have your family, you have the community, you have all the people around you, you have the religion. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go wherever I'm going to go, whatever you believe in after death. And so there's just like set aside. It's like, so you're doing all the right things. You don't have time to just like sit around and do nothing.
Fuel for our sense of meaning and belonging and purpose. Now, it doesn't mean life was easy, not at all, but it does mean that we didn't get bored. We didn't have time to get bored, and we didn't have any.
Life's going to be hard either way, whether you're rich, poor. There's obviously certain things that are harder and easier than others on either ends of the spectrum. But what I'm saying is, like, life's hard when you're employed, life's hard when you're unemployed. It's just different types of hard. Because, like, when you're not working and you're not doing anything, it may be cool at first, but it's like, okay, well, I can't do anything. I have no money. I can't do anything. You have no purpose. But then when you are employed and you're at a job that you don't like, it's like, okay, well, I have the money, but I hate what I do. But at least, like, you're doing something in one way or the other. Even if you don't really like it, you're still getting a paycheck. You're still providing for your family. And that alone is where the satisfaction part of it comes in.
Lack of meaning and purpose. It was all kind of automated for us by our culture.
I think that the experience of boredom was certainly there in traditional or pre-modern societies, but it really gains traction.
Yeah, I'm sure they were bored back then. I mean, it's not like they were working 24 hours a day. Like, they still had time to kill. That's, in the era when it was all just like physical labor. And they were working long fucking days. But yeah, now it's like, we only worked not everyone, but the traditional 9 to 5, the 8-hour shifts, right? It's like you still have a little bit of time in the day, and most people will then spend that time just scrolling on TikTok, doing whatever.
In modernity,
The word has maybe not been around as long as we might imagine, but that doesn't mean that the concept and the experience and the feeling isn't ancient.
Boredom was more of a privilege for those who were the royal.
Oh, yeah, dude. If you're fucking on the farm for 16 hours a day in the 100-degree heat, you're gonna wish you were bored.
Courts, the clergy, and so on.
Rich aristocrats were the rare human beings that had time on their hands. The other group were monks who had quite a bit of time before the rest of us. And in fact, they had a word to describe this feeling of boredom.
Oh, yeah, dude. And they'll live like 10,000 feet in the air. And they'll just do nothing. Like, they don't have a phone. I don't know exactly what they do. Why? There's not like there's like music. It's just like them and their own thoughts for hours, all day, every day.
Called it Acadia, a lack of motivation to fulfill your purpose, or in this case, your duties to God. Christians would frame this early concept of boredom as a dangerous sin that could kill your faith. They would nickname it the noonday demon, the most dangerous of all the demons, because from boredom stemmed many.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you're bored, that's when you'll then kind of venture out to do shit that you probably shouldn't be doing.
Other sinful behaviors, and they were kind of onto something, as we will see in the scientific literature very soon. French monks updated the interpretation to a desire to escape the present.
So they say, like, when you keep yourself busy, you keep yourself out of trouble.
A tiredness and a hunger for variety. But then you get to like the 1600s and things start to change, at least in Europe, as people move to cities. They're working in factories, they're doing repetitive work, they have less and less freedom and autonomy and purpose, and they're getting bored.
The words for boredom in different languages, for the most part, they pop up in the 17th century, around there in most languages.
You can see this in like the people who've tracked all the etymology and these words that have been used in different languages. Here's the usage in Spanish over time. Here it is in French, German, and here it is in English. People start to use the verb bore as a verb in letters and literature in the late 1700s, back when London looked like this.
Needed words to describe an emotion that had become quite a lot more common. In modernity, boredom became available for everybody. It became democratized.
Okay, the history part's over. Now let's look at this part of the graph, this rise. Boredom is surging, and kind of weird because it's surging at a time when we have like more amazing, exciting experiences.
Well, yeah, it's surging at the time where we have more access to modern technology
and content to watch than ever before. That is the mystery at the heart of this video, and one I promise I will answer before we are done. Okay, well, one thing is for certain. My life does not look like this anymore. We're not on the farm anymore, filled with meaning from our culture and religion. First off, our map is kind of full of way more possibilities. We're not just going in one predetermined path. I have a million possible routes. And look at my purpose fuel tank down here. I've lost some very important sources of meaning. I don't have religion anymore, which is a huge hit to my sense.
Yeah, because I mean, well, I think actually religion's kind of making a comeback now, but for a while, a lot of people turned away from religion, myself included. You know, and it's just different. A lot of people are moving away from like old tradition, old ways of thinking. You know, and then even the community aspect too. I have family members where their neighborhood, it's very community driven. Everyone knows each other, everyone do block parties, things like that. My neighborhood, I don't know, like any of my neighbors, my next door neighbors, and I've lived with them my whole life. Most people just don't get involved in community shit, and I'm not shitting on that because I don't. You know, I don't do community whatever. It's not like my thing, right? But it used to be a big thing. And then even the family dynamic as well. Divorce rates are skyrocketing. All that is kind of just crumbling, to be honest.
Of purpose and higher meaning. I'm a transplant in a big city, in a highly individualistic country, so I don't have anywhere near the sense of community and old culture that my ancestors had. This may be different for you if you live in a small town in Europe or Vietnam and you are continuing traditions that your ancestors did. My ancestors...
Yeah, most people in small towns, like in small towns, everyone's going to know each other, obviously because it's small, but it's like, you know, there's nothing to do. All they have is each other. But in like a big city where no one really fucking knows each other, everyone's just like by other people, but they're alone.
Left their traditions and came to a new world to start new. So yeah, I lost that part. Now, I do have family. That is a massive source of very deep meaning for me. But if I want to fill my tank with meaning, I gotta kind of do it on my own. I have to create my own sense.
You know, and with the way the world's right now, you know, a lot of people don't want families anymore. A lot of people don't want kids. A lot of people are just very career oriented and they just want money and material and whatever. And if that's what you want, fine. But because, you know, before in like 60s and 70s and, you know, like 80s, it was very family oriented. Yeah, you had to work and shit, but I think and it's partially too just the way what the economy is. It's not a world anymore where, you know, it's a 1-income household. It's like you have to have a 2-income household.
Of purpose and meaning, which, to be clear, is a really great thing. Like, I get to determine how I live my life, how I raise my kids, what I do religiously or not religiously, community, and what people...
The nice thing about a small town is everyone knows each other. There's a big community aspect. The downside is that you have that social pressure to just continue on with old traditions that you may not feel is the right thing for you, you know, for how you want to raise your kids, for how you want to have your family, for the, you know, community you want to have inside your home, and you could just do what the fuck you want. And I feel like even with social media now, with me doing this, like, you know, me doing social media, it's like, yes, it's taboo, and yeah, I have people that, you know, will come across my videos and they might not like them and whatever, but it's like, my videos aren't for everybody. I'm still gonna do what the fuck I'm gonna do. You know, no one can stop me. You don't have to agree with what I'm doing, and you can find it to be however you feel about it, but at the end of the day, it's like, I'm gonna do me, right? And that's how a lot of people are living their lives now, you know, because they're breaking out of those old tradition, those old ways of thinking. You have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do that. You know, the world is evolving so fast, it's not the same anymore. Older generations aren't gonna really understand what this world of shit is. The same way that, like, when I'm 50, you know, as much as I'm going to tell myself right now, yeah, I'm going to understand what the kids are doing, I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, I want to tell myself when I'm 50, I'm going to get it, I'm going to be in, but I'm most likely not going to be, and that's just how it is. And that's just how it's been since the dawn of fucking time.
I invite into my community. That sense of freedom is wonderful. My point here is that a lot of us don't have our sense of meaning and purpose sort of automated for us like our ancestors did. And that is a major reason why we get bored. Oh, and not to mention that our meaning tanks are now...
We have a lot of options, and compared to, like, you know, 500 years ago, it's like you grow up on a farm. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to be a farmer. And that was it. You didn't really have a choice. You know, now you could do anything you fucking want. Taboo or not, you can do whatever the fuck you want. It's like, oh my god, what do I do? You know, if someone's just fresh out of high school, it's like, oh, you can go to college and you're going to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life. Some people know. Most people don't. You can think you have an idea, but you don't. Like, I thought I knew exactly what I was going to do, but I didn't. And what I'm going to do 10 years from now is going to change. What I'm going to do 20 years from now is going to change. You don't know. And that's why I hate the question on, like, job interviews of, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I know they just want you to say, oh, yeah, I'm going to be here. But, like, you really, realistically, if you think about that in your own life, what are you going to be in 5 years? It's like, that's just a stupid fucking question to ask, like, especially, like, an 18-year-old. You don't fucking know.
Much larger, and our expectations kind of full all of the time.
We expect, or could perhaps even say demand, that life should be filled to the brim with meaning at all occasions. We have very little tolerance for these gaps of emptiness in our existence in which nothing really happens. We're having trouble dealing with those.
Compare that with the fact that there's been an assault on my attention abilities thanks to all these flashing buttons and viral videos, and you can see why sometimes this happens. The car goes dark. It's 3 p.m. on a Saturday, and I'm stuck. I don't have the attention and the purpose to go anywhere. I'm bored, and it feels pretty horrible. Okay, this is the most important part.
There's nothing wrong with TikTok, social media, but like, okay, I think I'm on social media maybe more than I should be, right? Outside of me making videos or whatever, it's like me just like scrolling, whatever. But I have to find a balance, because you have to know when to stop. You have to have that self-control. I know it's really fucking hard, but you have to try to be conscious of, like, okay, I'm going to allow myself 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there to be on TikTok, whatever it may be. You know, I mean, there's days where I'll just doom scroll for hours, but I try to be really conscious of my time in that, and I really try to make an effort to still go out with friends and do this. And, you know, be with family and just do what the fuck I'm gonna do. And just stay off this phone. You know what I mean?
Of the video, I would say, because I just spent all this time giving you the history, building this car analogy, but the car analogy really starts to like pay off from here forward. And this is the part of the video where we see how boredom can be good, how this can actually be a hopeful.
Well, that's why this even like shower thoughts. I have the best thoughts when I'm in the shower, but that's also because like that's really like one of the only times you don't have a screen in front of your face, and that's crazy to think about. If you dedicated more time, and take my own advice here, but with that time, if you're in the shower for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, and those are some of your best thoughts, think about if you dedicated 30 minutes, an hour of just like sitting there with your own thoughts. And even like driving too is good. It's just like turn off the music, just let yourself just think, and you'll come up with great shit.
It's not all bad. It can actually be the most important thing for helping you live a more meaningful life. So let me show you. Okay, so I'm bored. I'm stuck without meaning and the ability to pay attention to anything. And for those who need a quick 45-second grounding in the actual neuroscience, so that you don't think I'm just winging it with this analogy, here it goes. When scientists put people in a room and make them watch a boring video like this one of two guys hanging laundry, the participants' brains look like this. I should have printed it in color, but probably seen it in color on your video. Lucky you. Boredom. That's what your brain looks like when you're bored. It activates all of these regions that are associated with daydreaming, mind wandering, and thinking about the past and future. Nostalgia. Something I'm very into, actually. Look at this. This is a brain that is in big picture mind wandering mode. Default mode network is technically what it's called. But if you go deeper into the center of the brain, you will see that the part of the brain that drives me to pay attention, to make decisions, is anti-correlated. It's kind of turned off. It's not in sync. So I'm feeling all nostalgic about my life story and the meaning behind everything, but it's paired with this inability to channel my attention, to make decisions that are meaningful to me. Learning all of this was actually very helpful for me to understand why my 3 p.m. Saturday boredom is so existential feeling. It actually like feels like really terrible. Like I start to question everything. I'm thinking about my past, my future. I now understand why. Now there's way more science and study on this. I'm gonna leave all the sources in the sources doc that is in the description. But just know that my car analogy is grounded in all of this. Let's get back to the car. So we're here in the dark car, we're bored, we're out of gas. Now let's look what people do when they're in this state. You can do a few things. Number one is you can become really mean on the relation of boredom and sadistic aggression. It's a great paper.
What's the correlation of that? Sorry, I haven't been talking. I've just been trying to lock in on this like science shit, but because there's nothing to distract you of how you actually feel. Because a lot of people watch YouTube, listen to music when they feel some type of emotion, sadness, anger, whatever, to try to cheer themselves up. I don't know if it's going to go into like how when you have nothing to distract you, how you really feel will show itself.
So one cure for boredom is sadism, defined here as harming others for pleasure. For some reason, the moment you decide to do harm, look what happens to your car. It revs back up. And weirdly, our purpose tank gets really full. Our attention fires up. Our car is running again.
Yeah, it's the same like when, like I was saying, like you're bored. It's like people say like, oh, keep yourself busy to stay out of trouble, right? You're not doing good shit, but you're doing something, you know, and
we turn down this sketchy road where we snap at our partner or yell at our kids with the intent to hurt.
Yeah, it's all just surface level shit to how you feel on the inside. Because even with anger or whatever, it's like you're typically, you know, there's a lot of emotions that, like, if someone's angry all the time, 9 times out of 10, they're just like a very sad person on the inside, but it's masked with anger because they're not going to show that they're sad because they see that as a form of weakness. So that's why, like, if someone's having a bad day and they come home and they start snapping at you, like, it has the reason why they had a bad day could have nothing to do with you, but they're still going to take it out on you. And that's not fair at all. It's all these like masks that are just revealing themselves So when they find themselves something to do, it kind of helps distract them, kind of helps numb that out for a bit.
We get online and we start stirring people up. We make them angry with bad faith critiques, trying to inflame them, trying to hurt them.
If I ever get a hate comment or whatever, it's like, I know that they're just having a bad day. They're not taking it out on me personally. Like, yes, they're taking it out on me, but I am not the reason why they're having a bad day. You know, if someone's constantly shitting on you and, you know, bullying you and whatever, it's like, you know, they're just hurt as people. And they're going to take it out on whatever they feel is necessary to try to satisfy them in their own fucked up way.
This is one that I'm familiar with, not doing it, but receiving it. While this is happening, look at the purpose fuel tank. It is full to the brim. So the monks were right. There is a noonday demon within boredom. The way this looks in the studies is that they put people at a table with worms and a coffee grinder. Bored people are more likely to take these worms and grind them up in the coffee grinder for no other reason other than to cure their boredom. And they even gave these worms names to humanize them so that it would kind of seem even more cruel. Names like Toto, Tifi, Kiki. Oh, and if you're concerned about the worms, the coffee grinders were fake. The worms didn't actually die, but the participants didn't know that. In other studies, bored people are more likely to take away money from random people that they don't even know. Not because they gained anything, just because they were bored, and being mean helped take the edge off. Now, these studies do have some caveats, like some people have a higher propensity to be bored, or some people have a higher propensity to be sadistic. But even controlling for that, when you and I, all of us, the general person is bored, we are more likely to engage in sadistic behavior, to harm others for pleasure. I mean, this is kind of well known. You see headlines every once in a while of like destructive, terrible things that have happened because, quote, someone was bored. A search for meaning and a lack of mobility to create that meaning leads people to turn to destruction, sometimes self-destruction. There's one study where people will sit around and instead of just sit and...
That's what I'm saying. Like the self-destruction, like you're going to go out and do shit that you shouldn't be doing, or, you know, a lot of people do drugs, alcohol, because it's like, oh, I'm bored. But then that, you know, will then just lead to bigger problems later down the road.
Be bored, they will like zap themselves, hurt themselves.
Even when the only option is to do something that you don't like, that's potentially harmful to you, you'll go ahead and do it anyway as a preference over doing nothing.
Is that just to like feel something, like if you're going to zap yourself? Is that just to like feel something because your mind is so understimulated?
This can manifest in other kinds of self-harm for people who are bored, who are looking for like a physical sensation to help distract them from the very uncomfortable mental pain that comes with boredom. It has the function to avoid or escape from aversive emotional experiences. Okay, but this is like the dark side of boredom. You have another choice. There's the hopeful side of boredom. Rewind the clock, get me back to being bored in that dark car before the trolling and being mean to my kids and partner began. Here we go. We're stuck here. Instead of revving your car up with that demonic fuel that we just saw, you can do the much harder thing. You can get out of the car and push it. You can push it down a road that you know contains some meaningful experience. Here I am pushing mine towards going on a walk in nature. It's actually a lot of effort. I do not want to do this by definition.
Oh yeah, it's a similar thing of like, it's really easy to gain weight. It's really hard to lose it. Hard to do things that are good for you. You know, it takes more effort to cook up a steak and broccoli. It's way easier to then go and just like get a fucking Big Mac at McDonald's and a Coke, and you know what I mean? Like it's probably gonna be cheaper. Like, you know, unfortunately, with all the shit that's bad for you, they make it really accessible.
Because I am bored, I am manually pushing it. But as I push, my mind is kind of in this big picture place. Remember the default mode network? I'm thinking about the past and the future, about the meaning of my life. I'm feeling things and reading my thoughts in a way that I usually don't get to. And look what happens when I get close. This worked. My car fires back up, and yes, it took.
But then once you also get in the habit of doing something like going to the gym, it's easier just to keep going.
Took some effort, but my purpose tank is filling up. My attention and my ability to keep it is flickering back on. I'm going back to things that bring me purpose without having to harm anyone. And in fact,
And then even too, when you start eating really well, and then, like, I remember I was eating really fucking well for a while. And then I think I got, like, some chicken fingers or some shit, and my stomach was killing me. because I haven't ate shitty fried food like that for a while.
Benefit of all of this is I'm now more in touch with my sense of meaning and purpose because I've had to sit with it. I've had to struggle through not feeling it and contemplate what meaning is for me. What do I actually want to do with my life? So I get back in the car and I'm rethinking my route on this map, what turns I want to take. And to stretch this analogy even further, I'm stronger. I'm stronger because I got out and pushed my car. So like my muscles are stronger. Next time I get bored, I have the mental muscles to push through. And this is why some studies, not all, demonstrate a statistically significant correlation between boredom and creativity. Being bored makes you more creative, according to some of these studies. Which gets to answer...
That's what I was saying with the shower thoughts. It's like your mind... Because it's almost like when you're standing in front of a screen all day, your mind is blocked from accessing certain parts of it. Once you strip that away, it's easier for you to be creative. And you have thoughts of like, damn, like, I'm in an argument, damn, why didn't I say this? I should have done this. Like...
Another question I've had for a long time, which is why some cultures have entire concepts that embrace this idea of boredom. Il dolce far niente is an Italian phrase that translates into the sweetness of doing nothing. The Dutch have this word niksen, I think that's how you say it, which is like the verb to nothing. The practice of intentionally embracing a state of boredom and seeing the benefits from it. There's an entire religion or spiritual tradition, I guess, Taoism, that is dedicated to embracing non-action in the name of realigning your actions in harmony with your values. And remember, our biology gave...
I went to a Buddhist temple in the middle of nowhere in the mountains of Colorado. And to get there, you have to drive all the way up in like an hour and a half into the mountains, and then you have to take some like dirt road, and then like you're literally in the middle of nowhere, and it is the quietest place I've ever been. I can like hear my own heart beating. What I do want to start doing though is actually taking like 30 minutes from my phone away, whatever, just like have like me and my thoughts.
Give us boredom for a reason. It is a very important part of being humans who are driven by meaning and who are always looking for ways to chase after what is meaningful to them. Let's get back to the bored, dark car, clear out all this wholesome meaning stuff. Let's get back to one more scenario of what we can do when I'm sitting here questioning my existence. I've got this other option, and damn, it's a good option. Oh, and before you think I'm going to get all judgy and start condemning you for using your phone or watching Netflix, I'm not. That would be dumb. I'm not going to do that. This is our lives. I'm literally a person who makes content for the internet. I'm addicted to social media and TV just like you are. That's fine. I'm not a zealot and I'm not going to judge anyone. But now that I've read all the literature, I do want to let you in on what happens when the phone...
Yeah, it is crazy. I think it is funny though. I'll say this. You have like all those like alpha male guys who are like, you know, they'll fucking post that, they'll post on all platforms and whatever, but they're also like the same guys who will actually shit on you for like using those platforms when that's how they make their money. It's just so fucking hypocritical. Like, I'll make this video, whatever, and kind of like what this guy was saying, like, I'm not here to judge anyone for it. Like, I'm a victim of this myself. I do all these things. You know what I mean? But, like, I'm never going to shit on anyone for doing it when I do it myself because I'm not a fucking hypocrite.
And the scrolling turns into our medicine for boredom. Okay, the car's back on. We're moving. Let's look at the meaning tank here. Okay, so it's Saturday, 3 p.m. I'm bored, but look, my car's back on. Scrolling some YouTube shorts here, and we're moving. My meaning tank isn't full, but there's enough for the car to go. But wait, something's off here. Oh, look, my attention headlights aren't even working. They're not pointed at the road. I can't really tell where I'm going.
If you went on a dopamine detox for 30 days, and then you went to, like, go scroll on TikTok, would you find it interesting? I'm serious. Like, I mean, I'm sure if you kept doing it, whatever, you'd lock into it. But, like, you know, it's like what I was saying with the food. It's like, you eat really good food for a while, and then you go back to shitty food. It's like, would you, like... It's like at that point, you don't even want to keep eating it anymore.
Ah, I see why. All my attention power is being used to power my phone. This is what I am paying attention to. So my car is driving, I'm moving, but I'm sort of just driving in a straight line. There's kind of a sense of meaning and entertainment, but I get the sense that I'm not totally choosing this as I scroll. Oh yes, look over here. I've pressed cruise control, autopilot. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not an internet troll. I'm not in that demonic mode. I'm not on some sketchy street somewhere. But I'm also not using boredom to do the hard work of reassessing
That's just, yeah, you fucking scroll on TikTok for 6 hours and not even realize it.
my route. I'm just going straight. I'm on cruise control, which again is fine. Like after a week of work, I'm not interested in like reassessing my life. I want to decompress. I want to hit cruise control and I want to sit back and I want to passively be given a sense of meaning about the story that I'm watching on Netflix or the Instagram, whatever. That is a way that we decompress. Stories. People have been doing it forever. I know I've said this, but the last thing we need is more judgy energy around this stuff. But what happens if phones and scrolling become the medicine I use every time I'm bored? Well, there are good studies around this now. First, what they're finding, unsurprisingly, is that people are more and more using their phones to cure the feeling of boredom. I mean, yeah, that makes total sense. You're bored waiting for a train or whatever, you pull out your phone. What this means is that you never get out to push your car. You never sit in the default mode network and
Yeah, so you're always just relying on something else to cure your boredom other than you. I said earlier, like, yeah, what did people do when there was, like, no phones, no whatever, but, like, I was living in that. I was living in a time where I didn't have a phone, I didn't have an iPad, I didn't have technology, it was just me and my thoughts. You didn't know any other way of life, so it was, like, fine. And I think, looking back on what I said earlier, it's like, damn, like, I was fine then. But I think now with being, you know, having a computer, a TV, a phone, a laptop, an iPad, the whole thing, where it's like, if I lost all those things, I'd be so fucking bored.
Push your car and assess your life and do the uncomfortable thing of thinking big about the future and the past. This cruise control is kind of like a nice morphine drip into our purpose tank. We don't ever need to get out and push the car and do the big mind-wandering thing that leads us sometimes to more.
Yeah, it's just like, you don't need to even drive, you don't need to cure your own boredom. You have a phone. You don't need to drive and get your own food. There's DoorDash. You don't need to do anything because there's so much access for everything. And, you know, you live in a big city, you don't even need a car. You could just walk around. You can, like I said, have people deliver your groceries, deliver your food if you want to, instead of going out to eat. You can watch movies at home. You don't need to go to the movie theater anymore. You can have someone drive you around with Uber. You don't need a car. All the convenience.
Creative or meaningful actions. And according to this one study, what they're finding is that evidence shows that digital media, rather than reducing our boredom or like satiating it, it actually increases it. So to push our analogy to its absolute limits, not only does the phone never give us a chance to break down and reassess our route, but it actually makes us more likely to break down. It's as if the fuel that we get from this.
You have no need to rely on yourself to do anything. Everything's just so accessible to you. You don't have to cure your own boredom. You have a phone to do that. The problem is that now, since everything's just done for you, you lose that sense of purpose. And then that's where the anxiety rates, the depression rates, boredom rates skyrocket.
Is like this radioactive goo that creates a leak in our fuel tank. So it runs out quicker and we break down.
Yeah, your dopamine levels are just so fucking through the roof.
More often. We get bored more often, which in turn leads us to grab our phone to satiate or get rid of.
Yeah, it's just a never-ending cycle.
Our boredom. Psychologists call this a vicious cycle between boredom and phones. Now look, I knew phones were addictive. I've read all this stuff, the dopamine, all that. We all know this is happening, but I didn't know this when I got into this story. I didn't realize this natural psychological cue called boredom that has a lot to do with my mind's ability to make meaning and purpose is being totally messed with because of my propensity to grab the phone to like cure it, which makes me more likely to get bored, which makes me more likely to grab my phone. Like I didn't realize that existed and it's actually blowing my mind. Okay, so to recap, you get bored, you have three options. Go down the demonic route, start to hurt people and be mean. Go down the constructive route, do the hard work of sitting with it, let your mind drift into broad, creative, nostalgic thinking, even though it's uncomfortable. Or take the middle road, turn on cruise control, and take neither route. Kind of numb the whole system. The last question I want to try to answer, or start to answer, is, okay, so what do we do? This exists. Phones aren't going away. I'm not getting rid of my phone anytime soon.
Yeah, because it's too late to, like, you're not just going to get rid of your phone forever. It's like the world we live in, it's like we can't just get rid of these things now. Everything's in the phones. Everything's wrapped up. They're even trying to put the IDs in the phones.
How do I manage boredom in a modern world? That's the last section of this video. So if you clicked on this video because you wanted to learn about the history and neuroscience of boredom, and you yourself have no interest in figuring out how to manage your own boredom, then now is the time for you to click away and go find something else to do. The rest of us, I want to take the rest of this video to go through some really specific tips that I've been practicing and exploring and that the research points to as ways that we can manage our boredom. It'll all be documented in the link in the description, so you don't even have to watch this. You can just click that and read through it briefly. But for those who want, let me talk you through it. Number one, look at it. I'm not going to go all new age on you, but I am going to say that the most effective, most powerful, subtle thing that you can do is recognize what it feels like to be bored the next time you're bored.
Yeah, I think understanding how you feel. Yeah, you can know I'm happy right now, I'm sad right now, I'm mad right now, but I don't think people are aware enough about how they feel. Because then when you have that feeling, you recognize how you feel. It's like, okay, you make those connections of like, when I was doing this, I was happy. When I was doing this, I was sad.
Try to notice your mind going into a more existential mode where you're thinking about the past and the future. At first, it's just going to feel like a jumble and a cloud of uncomfortable feeling. But with time, even if you just take a minute before you intervene and do anything, just to notice, you will refine that sense of being able to see the boredom. Oh, and you kind of have to do this without judging it, like without like getting down on yourself. Just like let it happen, look at it. There's actually a ton of science around this very simple technique that is called mindfulness. It applies to all kinds of mental experiences, but it really applies to this boredom situation. There's a million ways to formally practice this, like a million apps, Headspace, the Waking Up app with Sam Harris, a million YouTube videos, whatever. But you can also just
Yeah, I think that's why, like, even if you take 30 minutes a day to just, like, have no phone, no nothing, just, like, sit there with you and your thoughts, that would help.
Formally try it out next time you're having an uncomfortable feeling. Try to look at it instead of avoid it. Number two, and this is also going to sound kind of new agey, but I promise it's also very useful, is work on accepting it.
Well, yeah, because going back to what I just pretty much said, it's like, yeah, you want to recognize how you feel. But a lot of people will kind of run away from that, be like, no, I don't feel that way, because you're almost ashamed for your own self to admit, like, oh, I'm sad, I'm feeling whatever I'm feeling.
Meaning going through the process of, instead of trying to avoid it, embracing it and saying, this is what is happening right now. And even saying, this is what helps for me, is like, this is actually a good thing. This is my body telling me something about my life. I'm going to actually try to accept it instead of trying to resist it.
The $64,000 question about boredom that everybody wants to know is, what do I do about it? How do I eliminate it? And there are lots of different responses to that. I think the first one is to say you can't eliminate it. Boredom, if it's something that plays a role in your life, if it's functional, then you don't want to get rid of it, right? Because you want that.
I don't think boredom's a bad thing. I think it's just what you do with it. I think boredom's a positive thing as long as you take the right actions when you feel it. And that's with any emotion. All emotions are important. You don't want to be bored all the time. You don't want to be sad all the time. You don't want to be happy all the time, but you need a balance of all. Because if you were happy all the time, you need to know what it's like to feel any and all emotions. People are like, oh, I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy all the time. That feeling of happiness, if you're happy all the time, you wouldn't fully appreciate it. When you are happy, genuinely, like, overwhelmingly happy, when it does happen, you have a very high level of appreciation for it, because it's not something you live with all of the time. So if you were living with all the time, you wouldn't appreciate it.
Function.
Another way to put this is relax into it. Relaxation is kind of the opposite of boredom in some ways. Relaxation is an acceptance.
And at the same time, too, it's like, oh, I'm sad, whatever. And it's like, you know, you can be not happy with maybe the way you look. And it's like, okay, I want to change. I want to, you know, work out, go to the gym. Like, even sadness, there is positive aspects to it, because it can motivate change. It can, you know, there's positives and negatives to every single emotion.
Of non-action. What I do is I kind of go back to these brain scans and I think of like the nostalgic, like thinking about the past and the future, and try to say like, oh, my brain is going through this like default mode network thing, and that's kind of cool. I'm gonna just relax into it instead of like judge myself that I'm like feeling it. Okay, so those are the first kind of micro actions that you can take inside of your mind next time you feel bored. And those sort of set the stage for managing your boredom. If you do those two, then you will be in a better place to engage with the rest of the things on this list, which are things that are scientifically proven to help you fill this tank of meaning, which is core to us feeling regulated and good. So that leads us to engage in what the scientists call pro-social behavior, which means just hanging out with people. So much of human meaning comes from relationships, connection with others.
100%. Even there's days where my friends are going out and I don't want to. But then I sit there and I'm like, okay, I can go out even though I'm not really feeling it. And I know that I'll have a good time because every single time I go out with my friends, I always have a good time. Or I could just sit in my room alone knowing that my friends are out and I'm just scrolling on TikTok. You know, and it's the thing of like, if you go out and you're out for an hour or two and you're not feeling it, just go back home. But I'd always recommend just go out, even if you don't feel like it. And honestly, those are the times you should go out. Because if you're not feeling like it, most likely you're not in a good state of mind. And having that distraction, being around your friends, will fucking cheer you up 99% of the time. Like I said, you go out for an hour, you're not having a good time, go home, bounce. But you fucking make memories, man. Be outside. You'll regret it because the thing is like the days feel so long, but the years go by so fast. So when you wake up and you're 60 and you're like, damn, I wish I would have gone out more than I did. You're never gonna wake up when you're older and be like, I wish I would just been home scrolling on TikTok. You know, and maybe there are situations where you do go out and you're like, damn, I wish I would have just stayed home tonight. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that shit. I'm just talking about like genuinely just like, you're never gonna regret making positive memories with your friends.
Help
over being at home scrolling on TikTok.
Helping other people happens to be like a very potent fuel for this sense of meaning and purpose. And for the introverts out there, it doesn't have to be like a heart-to-heart, hour-long conversation with somebody. It can be like going to an event where there's a bunch of other people. Group rituals, festivals, sporting events, concerts, political rallies. These are a fast track to feeling some kind of collective meaning with your fellow human beings. I think other animals like dogs and cats and pets also can fulfill a version of this as well. We're gonna put some links in this boredom guide of a platform where you can find different communities and meetups, as well as this cool blog post of 99 ways to find IRL community. Okay, the next one, get creative. Humans are artistic, creative beings, and turns out that being creative, making stuff, fills our tank.
I don't think enough people have hobbies. Mainly creative outlets. Like, for me, in this very moment, YouTube is a creative outlet for me. I love it. I enjoy it. I enjoy the aspect of just like watching shit that I think is sick and talking about it, adding my thoughts onto it. That's a major creative outlet. I'm not at a point yet where this is like my job. Even when it does become my job, at least I hope it will be, I still want it to be a creative outlet for me. I'm good at the separation of like, you know, it's my creative outlet and I want this to be my job one day. I want to entertain people, but I'm also good at the separation of like, because there is an aspect of like, I still do look at this as work, right? But I'm also good at shutting that. When this video gets posted and I schedule it, because I always schedule for the next day, and then I have the shorts that come out for this video that same day as well throughout the day. Once I'm done editing this video, getting the shorts out, I'm done. I'm not gonna hyper focus on numbers and shit like that. Like, to me, this is just like a fun thing. I'm gonna get my videos out. I'm gonna be done for the day. I'm gonna move on with my day. I'm gonna do other shit. 18, I got into like the online money space or whatever. I couldn't shut that off. Like, I always felt like I had to be working. But then I realized like there's some things of like the hours you put in is what you're gonna get out of it, right? YouTube isn't like that. Social media isn't really like that. You know, if you're working hourly or you're door dashing or whatever, it's like, yes, that is true. The hours you put in is what you're gonna get out of it. It was so toxic for me because like I would literally leave the gym mid-workout because I felt like I wasn't doing enough. And that a lot of that's tied to like the alpha male, you know, red pill genre, and I've talked about that in other videos, but like, I like to put things in boxes in my head of like, okay, this is my work, this is my creative outlet, these are my friends, this is my family, this is, you know, whatever it may be. That's really fucking important, and that separation of it, and you don't want shit to always have to blend together.
And as the science says, when we are bored, we are actually uniquely placed to be more creative, to think differently than we normally do. The literature talks a lot about like mastery and practice, like practicing piano every day. That's a little high effort for this. I'm more so thinking low effort, low cost, like high reward creativity. Cook something, do some like basic crocheting or knitting, origami, adult coloring books, mood boards, collages, finger painting. Like, it doesn't have to be good. No one has to see it, but
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I think a lot of people will try to have their hobbies. You know, everyone thinks of like money, money, money. I'm gonna crochet. I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna make art. I'm gonna sell. It's like, you don't have to. If you want to, fucking go for it. If you know, but I'm saying like, just do shit for you. That's kind of like the main point of this. Just like, you know, even if you're busy, whatever, you have to fucking take care of yourself.
the act of making something is a source of meaning and a great way to like leverage your boredom for something creative. The next one is near and dear to my heart, which is get curious. Curiosity and enthusiasm about something is a deep source of meaning for a lot of people. This is actually like the core. For me, besides my family, this is like where I get most of my meaning in life. Nerding out about stuff. There's this quote from Andy Warhol. You need to let the little things that would ordinarily bore you suddenly thrill you. I mean, easier said than done, Andy, but like try to find things that light you up, whether it's like obsessing over the specs of trains in Europe or looking in.
That is really fucking important for sure. Like I was saying, even with this, is like I obsess over YouTube. And the big part of that is because it's like growing up, my whole life I've had a hard time being open with people and talking to people about what I think, how I feel, particularly when it comes to negative aspects of my life. That made it difficult because it was like, then I couldn't talk to people while I was going on, and then I ended up just bottling all emotions and thoughts in my head. And a big thing that helped me was watching YouTubers. It would distract me, even if it was for 20-30 minutes, it would distract me from whatever was going on, whatever I was thinking about. And when it comes down to it, it's like, that's what I want to be. And I don't give a fuck about numbers. I don't want to be famous. I don't care about fame. My goal is, as long as there's at least one person, that comes back, that'll watch my videos and get some sort of entertainment, that I can be that person for somebody else. That's all I care about. Obviously, it'd be cool to have this be my job or whatever, but I will do this because it's for the fucking love of it. I still work a regular job. I'm still planning on go to school. Like, if I can get to a point where I can fully pivot, that'll be sick, but I just want to be able to entertain people and be able to distract. And that's why when I was doing the online money shit and I was trying all these different business models, there was no satisfaction in it. I hated it. Like, there were certain parts that I liked, but at a certain point, it was like I felt so miserable. I started making a little bit of money, and like the money it meant nothing to me. And it wasn't even anything crazy, but doing this, and I haven't made a dime off YouTube, I felt more satisfied. I think of what am I, like a weekend? I felt more satisfied in this whole entire week because I've gotten comments of people being like, oh, this video made me laugh. That shit put more of a smile on my face than anything I fucking did in the past 2 years of online money, drop shipping, TikTok shop, any of that shit. I'm not saying it was all bad. There was a lot of cool things. I learned a lot, but this is the shit I fucking love, man.
Into how ants build ant colonies, whatever. Finding something that you can nerd out about and obsess over can be really good for meaning and a cure for boredom. Going down the old Wikipedia rabbit hole works every time. If you cultivate this enough, you get access to like the inverse of boredom, which is called flow, where you are so deeply engrossed in what you are learning or doing that you kind of forget everything. It's like your attention and meaning are just on like turbo drive, and you can kind of just go for hours. Okay, next one is going outside. This is, again, well documented in the literature. Wandering through a forest does wonders to...
Man, there's something that's so peaceful about just like chilling in the middle of the woods. I'm not like the biggest like outdoorsy woods person, but I like to just hang, I like to just look at shit, hang. I'm not like a crazy like hiker, whatever, but I enjoy just like the peacefulness of the woods. I enjoy looking at the mountains and realizing like, because you feel so small compared to the mountains. And there's something interesting about that. And I think it kind of humbles you a little bit. It disconnects you from the shit that you think kind of matters. Because this shit, the social media shit, doesn't fucking matter. Numbers, followers, likes on Instagram, it doesn't matter at fucking all. I used to. I don't look at my analytics. I don't give a fuck. I don't. I mean, I'll look to see, like, you know, what's kind of working, whatever, but, like, I don't look at it from, like, I don't hyper focus on it, man. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I'm happy if I get one viewer. I'm happy if I get one person to stay from the start to the end. Just do what the fuck you, like, I am doing this shit for the love of the game. And that's all I give a fuck about.
Our sense of awe and perspective and meaning. You're also moving your body and, going through a walk in nature. And often you can find activities that blend a bunch of these. Like if you go out bird watching or something with somebody else, you are doing the social thing, you are doing the nerd out about something thing, and you're doing like the go on a walk in nature thing. Go to a painting class. You're doing mastery and practice, but you're also doing creativity. You're also doing social. So anyway, all of this is in the guide in the description. And I also want to kind of hear from all of you, like, what does boredom feel like for you? And what do you do when you are bored? I would love the comment section to turn into a discourse around the experience of boredom for different people. So please do that. So I just want to finish by re-emphasizing what we started with, which is that boredom is not bad. It is a very natural cue that our body has given us to spur us to action, to let us think about what is meaningful in our lives, and to help us assess our story through life. And in this world where meaning is not made for us like the old days, and we have these phones that kind of sabotage our ability to sit with ourselves, learning to sit with and accept boredom is a skill. It is one that you must practice if...
Yeah, and especially with having, because if you didn't have a phone, you have technology, it's like, you just do. You don't have any other choice, but like with all the technology right in front of you, like it's hard. It's fucking hard to put that to the side and just like sit with your own thoughts.
You want to leverage its benefits. So I know that this story has been quite impactful for me in how I approach my bored moments, and I hope it can do some version of the same for you. And I really look forward to hearing from all of you down in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
W fucking video. If you like, subscribe, leave a like, do the whole thing.
Got these voices in my head, I got some things will never change.